selected as the Best Picture nominees. They are American Sniper, Clint Eastwood, Robert Lorenz, Andrew Lazar, Bradley Cooper, and Peter Morgan, producers. Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, Alejandro G. Iñárritu, John Lesher, and James W. Scotchapole, producers. Boyhood, Richard Linklater and Kathleen Sutherland, producers.
Anthony Notarelli as a part of Sports Vision, here to talk a little NFL and a little Academy Awards 2015. Now, you're probably wondering, why the heck am I at a sports site and I'm hearing what movies got nominated? Well, I'll tell you. Recently at the quote-unquote Sports Vision front offices, we had a discussion, and it wasn't a discussion about sports issues or sports statistics or sports debates or any timely sports issue. Rather, it was a discussion about how these Academy Award Best Picture nominees this year in 2015 have something to do with the Super Bowl teams involved, of course, the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, at first, few of the other founders of Sports Vision were calling me crazy when I said, no, wait, if you really dissect this thing, you can see a direct correlation. And so I figured, this is a podcast site, this is a blogging site, this is a site where people want to hear unique sports stories and sports opinions, so why don't I give mine? How the 2015 Academy Awards can very much relate to the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks storylines this season. And when I say the Academy Awards, I mean the movies up for Best Picture. So let's look at the Best Picture nominees. And just to throw it right off the bat, a couple movies I haven't seen, so I'll get on that, but they won't be mentioned because I would just be talking out of my behind. Selma, never seen it. Imitation Game, never seen it. So right off the bat, if you have a cool comparison to those two, definitely let me know about it, but let's just throw those two out the window right now. Well, first off, when you look at this NFL Super Bowl and when you look at the Academy Awards in general, forget the Best Pictures for a second, both of them take place, especially this year, in February, and both of them are the two most watched events per year, Super Bowl being one, Academy Awards being two. So right then and there, you see a correlation between these two having a very big impact on the media, on television, on ratings. So let's get that out of the way first and foremost, because this is how the whole argument started. Somebody told me that they thought the Academy Awards were more watched than the Super Bowl, and after laughing at them for a good 10 minutes, I proved them wrong, but I did find out that the Academy Awards were number 2. So this even further backs up my point of the correlation between the Pats, Seahawks, and the Best Picture nominees. Now you look at the first movie on my list of the Best Picture nominees, American Sniper. Now, just to give a quick movie review as well, I wasn't so crazy about the movie like everybody else was. I'm going to just let the cat out of the bag early. I might be vilified for that, but I don't know. I just didn't enjoy the characters and whatnot. But this isn't, Ebert and Roper, so I'm not going to give you an in-depth, look at the cinematography of the movie or whatnot. But the way I see this relating to, in this case, the Seattle Seahawks, is because a lot of controversy about this movie and about Chris Kyle, the character, the American Sniper, who is played by Bradley Cooper. A lot of people are calling him a hero, but then there are some activists, and I don't agree with this activist statement, but there are some people saying, is he really a hero when he killed 160 people? Some maybe he shouldn't have killed. So the whole theory of, is this guy truly good or truly bad, can be seen in American Sniper. Now, I 100% think he's a hero, just to let that out there, because, I could never, ever, ever imagine doing what he's doing. But it's kind of looked at as, is he a hero or is he a villain? Now, that's how I look at the Seahawks, because when they're up against the Patriots, everybody is saying, they're the good guys, we want them to win, you gotta be rooting for the Seahawks. But in my opinion, up until this whole Deflategate scandal and how the Pats might have cheated again, I was rooting for the Patriots, actually, because to me, the Seattle Seahawks, while some see them as good, I definitely do not see them as good. I look at them as bad guys, and aside from Russell Wilson, I'm not a big fan of Marshawn Lynch, although on a fantasy perspective, I definitely am. Richard Sherman and that whole Legion of Boom talks way too much. I I don't know if they're the good guys because they're going up against the Pats. I think it's kind of two vilified teams, if you ask me, going up against one another in the Super Bowl. So there's my first relation between American Sniper, the good and evil, versus the Seahawks. Are they really good or are they real evil? Next, a movie I actually quite liked, Birdman. Probably my second favorite movie that I've seen of all the Best Picture nominees. And that essentially is about Michael Keaton. He played Batman back in the 80s. He in this movie, he plays a guy trying to get out of the typecast role that he was in back when he played a very famous role called Birdman. He's known for that role, and all he's doing throughout the movie is essentially trying to escape that former glory he had and prove that he still has a lot left in the tank. Well, doesn't that sound a little bit like a certain New England quarterback? Tom Brady. He wins three Super Bowls in the early 2000s. He beats the Rams, the Panthers, and the Eagles. Looks like he's on his way to unanimously being the greatest quarterback of all time. But since winning those three, he's lost 2 Super Bowls. So people are starting to question, is his legacy in the Super Bowl more about winning or losing? And that's a lot is riding on this specific Super Bowl. Is the legacy of Tom Brady going to be in the past, how good he was in the Super Bowl in the early 2000s? Or can he break free and win another Super Bowl and get rid of that stereotype that is on him that he just can't win in the Super Bowl anymore? Because for me, that's a great relation. And this is probably the most relatable story from that movie to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady and Michael Keaton, who used to play Birdman, they're both trying to prove that they have a now, not just a past. That they can be successful and overcome their previous typecast of being great then and be great now. So Tom Brady, a lot riding on his performance in this Super Bowl with his legacy. Much like in Birdman, Michael Keaton, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but Michael Keaton, sets up a play and he's trying to make that play successful so he can break away and show that he's still got something left in the tank. So another very obvious relation between Birdman, up for Best Picture, and Tom Brady, the New England quarterback. Next movie, my personal favorite, Boyhood. Now, if you haven't heard about this movie, you've probably been under a cave. It won the Golden Globe Best Picture for a drama, but for this, the gimmick of the movie, 12 years in the making. A boy, Eller Coltrane was his name, the actor who played the boy. He took 12 years to make that movie. He started, I believe, when he was about, 6 years old, and now he's 19 years old finishing up the movie, 18 years old finishing up the movie, and that's the whole kind of shtick and the gimmick and the character behind the movie is that it took 12 years to make. That's why everyone's seeing it, and this is my personal favorite. I thought it did a great job of explaining, the growing up boyhood, but again, this isn't a movie review, it's a sports blog, a sports podcast site. So, we'll relate how the 12-year gimmick of that movie has to relate to the Seattle Seahawks. I think you can kind of guess where I'm going with this one. The 12th man. That's the big character, and that's the big shtick in Seattle, is that you go to Seattle, and there's that 12th man. The number 12 is also very evident. What number does Tom Brady wear? 12. Boyhood. What are they known for? The 12 years to make it. Seattle Seahawks. 12th man. Tom Brady, the leader, the most important player in that franchise by far, wears number 12. Also, you look at the boyhood versus maybe adulthood, which you kind of see at the end of the movie. Tom Brady, the adult, the old school, versus Russell Wilson, growing up to be one of the best quarterbacks in this league. You have the legacy battle of old versus new, which can be seen in Boyhood and which can be seen in the Super Bowl. Next movie, an underrated one, but definitely has its relations. This one might be a little bit of a stretch according to some other Sports Vision founders, but I'm going to say it anyway and, just throw it out there, see how it sounds. Whiplash is a movie that not many people have seen, but it's essentially about a music instructor and a music academy and being kind of almost like a boot camp as opposed to a music academy. But in that movie, the main character, he's a drummer. And obviously, you guys know with drums, they're one of the louder sounding instruments. They make the booms. Well, Seahawks, what are they so reliant on? The booming noise in Seattle. Can they overcome being on the road like they did last year in the Super Bowl, without all that booming noise that we hear in Whiplash, that we hear in Seattle? Can they overcome that and be able to work it again on the road without the 12th man there and win another ring despite not being in their home crowd of Seattle? Also, just a fun little side note, booming of the drum in Whiplash, Legion of Boom, take that as you will. Last one that I can kind of relate to, and this one is my biggest stretch by far, and to be honest with you, I haven't even seen the full movie. I've only seen half of this, but the theory of everything is essentially about the genius known as Stephen Hawking, and his love life. It kind of portrays his life in a way, and you look at him. He's known as the genius of all geniuses. So is Bill Belichick, right? Well, I want to put up a question. If Pete Carroll wins this, current day, is he more of a genius than Bill Belichick is? Now, of course, Belichick has the history, but if Pete Carroll does come away with the W against the Patriots, and last year came against Peyton Manning and the Broncos, is he the new genius of the NFL? Are the Seahawks a more dominant dynasty than the Patriots were? I guess those are all questions to be answered at the Super Bowl. If you enjoyed this, I hope so, because it was a bit of a stretch and a bit out of the ordinary for us here at Sports Vision, but figured why not entertain the fans with something a little bit different, something they maybe never heard before, which is so hard to do in the sports world. So figured I'd talk about it with you guys, and again, Anthony Notarelli as a part of Sports Vision, the NFL this time. We want to thank you guys for listening, thank you guys for following, thank you guys for reading, and we hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl. My prediction, Seahawks beat the Pats.